Is it just because maybe I Google weird things, but do you also get ads that are like, top 10 signs you have schizophrenia? The first one's really surprising.
I don't get ads for that, no. Well, what is that? Bad? Yeah, I thought it might be bad. Okay, well, thanks. Hello, Video Rangers, and welcome back to another episode of Nothing New. It's raining, but we're not going to let that stop our parade, are we? No, no, no. I have with me here today Julianna Schley. Julianna, what book behind you is the book that you would pick if you had to read a book?
I mean, the first one I noticed is Ben-Hur.
Do you think Ben-Hur might be a case where the movie is better than the book?
Probably.
Wow.
Whenever a book is about this big, usually that is the case.
Tolkien didn't know how to kill his darlings.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so Julianna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you for the people at home who have never met you before?
I am a filmmaker, basically, but recently I've been doing stand-up comedy. I do performance art, and actually I started playing trumpet recently. I'm starting to realize that more than anything, I love self-expression. Basically, I stopped defining myself specifically as a filmmaker, although that is usually how I express myself. I kind of just do everything.
So more than anything, you are everything.
Yes. For a long time, I really limited myself, and I really was like, I need to become a master at something, and I can only write scripts, and I can only make videos, and I can only do this. And then I realized that I was actually selling myself short, and I have all these different sides of who I really am.
Well, now that you've found yourself, we're going to go back in time. Yeah, I was watching through some of your feature-length movie, the Don't Be Like Roy campaign.
Have you ever heard of a doppelganger?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're Roy's doppelganger. But I can intercept before you become a total loser like him.
What are you going to do when this theater goes digital and you lose your job as a film projectionist?
That's exactly what my ex-girlfriend Natalie used to say.
I noticed a few Julianna Schley Easter eggs in there. At one point, a character Googles something, and there's a tab open for King's Quest fan fiction. Can you tell me a little bit about King's Quest?
Wait, what? I can't believe you noticed that. That's so funny, because I actually just, after the quarantine started, I just replayed King's Quest 7. I don't know, King's Quest is very nostalgic for me. One of the first video games I had was King's Quest 6. So basically, to beat one of those games, you have to be really obsessive, have no friends, and just sit in front of a computer for hours and hours on end. So basically, it was perfect for me.
It sounds a lot like editing.
Yeah, actually, you're right. You're right.
I think I found out about your King's Quest obsession about the same time that you started rendering your dreams in Microsoft Paint.
Those are pretty great, but it also represents a time, like a really oppressive period in my life. I was working in an office at the time, and I was like, I'm happy. I like my life. I love living in Boston.
Boston's great. It's a real city.
It's great. It's not like everyone leaves every single summer and has no culture whatsoever. So my favorite one is, in the dream, I was in some kind of airplane that was also a space shuttle, and I was a businessman, and I was there with another businessman, but I knew that this other businessman was my mother. Right when the plane was about to get into orbit and go into space, it just dipped right back down and crashed. And I remember having this realization that whatever I was about to experience would be very painful, but we would get through it together.
The side of this, it looks like a shuttle, kind of reminds me of a film strip.
So at that time, I had just finished my thesis film. At the time, I just felt like a massive failure. Even though now I understand that failure is never failure itself. Failure is not being able to pick yourself back up and like keep going. And so what I wanted to do with my thesis was to create this film that would just make people fall over laughing. I didn't manage it. It was good, but it was not what I had expected it to be.
Party's not until tomorrow.
Oh. Can I have some money?
You make lots of comedies. Would you say that you aim to make them kind of like laugh out loud funny?
So one thing I learned recently doing stand-up comedy, it's really, really difficult to say a joke and hear people not laugh. Like it hurt so bad. I began to realize like it's actually okay to not hear that immediate reaction. The audience was with me, but they just didn't happen to laugh at that moment. So actually, like what I aim for a lot more now is to create something that's vulnerable and authentic enough where people can find their own creativity within it.
You make lots of things that are really funny. The one that comes to mind, I guess, is the makeup tutorial.
So originally, guerrilla warriors used this in order to make themselves indistinguishable from them and their surroundings. And we also use this to make ourselves indistinguishable from ourselves and other beauty bloggers.
They're funny and they have this edge to them. And watching the movie, it's like there's like this sex scene and it's just like so painfully awkward and like unintimate.
I've unintentionally ended up on the subreddit cringe.
Was this by any chance put your boyfriend where my mouth is? Or
Yeah.
I am the creator of BF 2014, which was initially a campaign to get me a boyfriend by 2014, but it has been extended through the fiscal year to be getting me a boyfriend through 2014.
I have this one where I'm on the train begging for a boyfriend. And people didn't know it was a joke.
I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for a few spare digits so I can have a hot date tonight.
But sometimes I do it on purpose, like towing the line of like, what's comedy, what's uncomfortable. I'm very comfortable making people uncomfortable.
Have you read your Cosmo today? Good people.
What do you think your most uncomfortable piece of art is?
Probably the piece where I'm naked with the beard.
I remember you gave me a disclaimer with it. I'm naked in this, and it's kind of weird.
What I would tell people. I really look like a man when I cross-dress, and my body is definitely like a female body. So even like in my physical presence, there's this weird contradiction that I'm sure affects other people. I'm somewhere in between, so I really love that.
I never thought much about my skin, but then one day I noticed I had wrinkles. That's when I decided to try not giving a fuck.
Introducing Not Giving a Fuck.
At this point in the video, Chico's camera cut out, so from here on out, he'll be represented by a potato. You have a video called Abraxas. I happen to be playing Abraxas with Jesse the Body Ventura on the TV behind me.
Makes you think you can locate my 4x4?
My box says VD, trust me.
Your what?
Was that one of the first times you shot film then?
No, I think it's me carrying around a microwave on my shoulder until I can get to a plug and I plug it in and I make some oatmeal. And I still to this day, I carry around a ton of food with me everywhere and I do find it annoying and I find it to be a burden. The first time I ever cross-dressed was out of necessity because I couldn't get a male to agree to be in one of my films. So I was like, fuck it. Like, I'll just be a man myself. I'm much better now that I'm older, but I've always had a hard time like getting people to be interested in what I'm doing or being involved. And you can see that in my work. Like there's something kind of lonely, especially about my older work. And what I realize is I'm never going to be this person that people just want to give things to and people want to give money to. And so that's when I started coming out with videos like begging for a boyfriend on a train and put the boyfriend where your mouth is and other, like a lot of other videos where I was putting myself in a position where you'd have to be a crazy person to decide to do that. I just wanted to prove to people I'm insane enough to make a feature film. Yeah.
What was the inspiration for the movie?
I was so lonely when I first moved to New York that every single person I would meet, I would try to equate to someone I knew in Boston. But I just started like imagining this like older woman kind of in this like pseudo relationship with a young man and trying to control him to prevent him from meeting the same fate as her ex-lover Roy. And I just started like formulating all these ideas.
Another Easter egg I noticed in it is the main character Roy has a vomiting phobia.
Yes.
Oh, so gross.
My severe phobia of vomiting it's been something that's been really difficult, but it's something that's really saved me too. Like, I've always been really too afraid to try drugs. Mm-hmm. I've never really been much of a drinker because of it. At this point, it doesn't consume my life. But yeah, there's a lot of talking about being afraid of vomiting and Don't Be Like Roy. The two main characters are trying to control things that they have no control over. And that's basically been the story of my life. Like, a lot of it is about my experience in relationships and also that control.
Well, speaking of relationships, and this isn't romantic relationships, but I remember a long time ago you had a video where you went through your Facebook profile of all the people that you'd gone to high school with.
That was the Facebook invite to our high school's 10-year reunion that I actually wasn't invited to.
Why do you have such big muscles? It's unnecessary for anything that you need to do.
I feel like a lot of it is about how I was treated also ends up being how I treat and talk about other people.
Would you like to answer some listener questions with me?
Sure.
Here's a question from Human from Space. Why do only certain parts of your body tickle?
I remember one time when I was a teenager, someone kept tickling me, and I was like, I'm not going to be ticklish anymore. And then I stopped being ticklish for years.
Did you miss being ticklish?
Yeah. I had to make a concerted effort to become ticklish again. I was like, I miss that.
Red Shot writes in to say, I need a name for my website.
I actually have like kind of an addiction to domain name registration. I own adoptaroommate.com.
Oh, that's in the movie.
JuliannaSchley.com. This persona I came up with that I don't use anymore, SunnyLewis.com. Another one, I just let it go, called FauxBar.com, because I was originally planning on opening up a non-alcoholic bar. I also own a domain of my stand-up comedy name, which is JuliannaCassidy.com. You keep saying Schley, but my last name is Schley.
Schley, yeah. I think I've been corrected about that enough times to think that I'm actually like right.
Got to the point where people couldn't say my name so much. I was like, this is a thing, and I'm just going to go by Julianna Cassidy. Maggie Cassidy, Julianna Cassidy. Better than being called Julianna Schley one more time. Sneakpeeker.com.
Sneak Peeker?
Yeah, that's the name of my production company. Oh, ratemyrodent.com. You should just say ratemyrodent.com, and then they'll be like, we can get this if we pay $7,000.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll end up getting it.
John, writer-editor, writes in to say, if someone else wears my glasses, do they see what I see when I'm not wearing glasses?
No. The eye doctor would always be like, you have horrible vision, but you're really lucky because it's very correctable.
You're very correctable.
I'm very correctable.
Whenever you're out of line, Julianna, it's wrong, but don't worry.
It's really bad until it's not.
Yeah.